Good morning, everybody. Let's get going. We are Day Traders FX. Anybody visiting or watching this recording? Very nice to be with you guys today. Remember, risk disclaimers, always very important in trading. You've got to understand the risk and make sure that we are planning accordingly. Take a moment to read through all the details here. Feel free to pause this, take a screenshot, read through it. Okay. Live sessions every day, guys. Same time, same day, every day, Monday through Friday. 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We have lots to discuss as always. Members or people again watching this recording, head over to the website, click on join, and get set up with a 7-day free trial. It's definitely a great experience to get everybody together and have traders from all over the world to discuss and go over trades and share ideas and just kind of survive and celebrate and have fun in these markets together. Remember, we've got a couple membership levels. The most important update is our annual membership includes all that you get on the premium monthly, and it includes all video recordings as well. So you basically get a 2-for-1 if you sign up for the annual. So that's a big, good deal. Okay. Let's get down to trades and details here. If anybody has any questions, members, of course, just type them into the chat. We're here to help. We'll discuss anything with you guys, and happily so. And anyone else, you can just send an email to support@daytradersfx.com. You can visit the website. You can see our video. This is where all of our video library material is. And you can, of course, follow us on Twitter for daily updates and emails and so on. Okay, so being that this is the weekly wrap-up, we're going to talk, a little bit about what we're looking for going into next week. But mostly, we want to wrap up this week and talk about some of the setups we watched and some of the trades we took, how it went, and just kind of all of that. So, how is everybody? First off, let's just kind of hear how is everybody doing? Did you guys all survive a nice full peak summer week? This is definitely that time where markets are a little bit less cooperative, to probably say the least. Little slower movement, a little more just muted, range-bound, kind of choppy conditions. Volume is very, very low this time of year. July, and then going into August, we have a little bit of indecision in market direction as well. But July is just typically and infamously so a very low volume time to be trading. So I always call this the summer trading. We get the big push before summer, which is May, June, and then kind of the latter part of June, things slow down just a little bit, and then July, it's dragging your feet through the mud. Somehow, though, we still find some decent trades and decent setups and good movements. We just see a lot less of it kind of, right in this middle of the summer moment. And then, things pick up again. And so it's been, it's been a little slower than what we like to see and what we expect. Just kind of a little example of all of this. The news this week has been, we've had some pretty big, pretty important news so far. We had news out of, the Bank of England a couple of times. We had, lots of important news announcements. You can see, manufacturing numbers, services numbers, employment numbers for the UK. We had the ECB press conference this week with Draghi, where he can, very often bring the noise, interest rates for the ECB, all of that. And we really got kind of limited movement. I mean, with a week of that kind of news, you would think we'd see a little bit more of something, and you can just see, euro dollar, for example. We've been talking about euro dollar, watching euro dollar, but I mean, look what it's done. I mean, basically since Brexit, it's done nothing. So here was our big Brexit movement, and then the euro dollar has just been totally sideways. And this week with the ECB press conference which usually causes some pretty good movement, we just kind of had we had a little bit of this and a little bit of kind of mumbo jumbo, but for the most part it's just totally sideways, totally flat. Again with all the UK news that we've had, we see a very similar kind of picture here on a lot of pound pairs. So again, we go back to, here's Brexit. We had a nice little dip down. And then basically since about about the 12th or so of July. It's been a week and change, just sideways. All these pound pairs are just totally sideways. So we've seen some pretty kind of slow movement, a lot of just choppy stuff the last several days, and it's definitely a time to try your patience for sure. And we've seen plenty of that. How have you guys been kind of, in your own trading? Obviously, we've had all of our group trades. We've had everything we've been doing there. How has it been going for individual members? Are you guys finding some setups? Are you waiting for everything that we're doing? Are you doing a little bit of both? Do you find yourself kind of wondering if the markets are going to move today or maybe not? And good, Linda. Okay, all right. A little win, a little loss, but happy with the week. Is anyone else feeling like things are just kind of, kind of slow and steady, like just kind of, pooping along a little bit, not giving us a whole lot of love? Because it sure seems like we're getting a bit of that, but maybe I'm just anxious to step on the gas here. Funny week, but okay. All right. Waiting. I'm down just a bit. Manageable. Okay. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does seem. Exactly, Ron. Exactly. Yeah. The old summer lull. Yeah, and exactly like Chris has put it here. And Chris, feel free to chime in on some audio if you like. We have taken several stabs at trade after trade after trade, and it seems like nothing easily wants to move more than 20 pips. Kind of was this crazy number that seemed to work fairly well this week, which it's funny to say worked well, because we almost never look for a 20 pip trade, um, but we had a lot of that this week where we would just see a 50, 75, 100 pip setup that looked really clean and clear, and the market would run 15, 20, 25, maybe 30 pips, and then just reverse all of that and then some, and very often stop us out with break even or a little bit better than break even. And so, it's a little bit, summer trading is, it's like this. I'm not surprised to see it at all, but it is always a little bit frustrating and trying. A few good examples of that. We had trades this week, and just curious about this. Who stayed in the New Zealand yen? Who stayed in New Zealand yen for the kind of final incomplete movement? Did you guys survive through that thing? Finally, after days and days of being in this trade, I said, let's just lock in, and I'm just over it. We had these three missed daily pivots. We took a nice sell trade. I mean, I'm trying to even remember. I think it was back here somewhere. We took a nice little sell trade as we kind of broke through these lows. And it just hopped around for day after day after day. And finally, I said, let's just lock in some profit. And for those that did lock in, I know some would have stayed in this. And I'm still curious who. It sounds like most people locked in when we locked in, but it pulled back, and it. I think it was this candle. Let me just see here. I think it was this candle right here, because we locked in. It was a couple little attempts. We were in at 75.12 back here. 75.12. We can even draw a little line in at 75.12. There's our 75.12 right there. Let me just. There's our 75.12 there. And it hopped around a little bit. I wasn't too worried about it right here. And then finally, just after days and days of chop and seemingly total lack of cooperation to get down to these pivots, I said, let's just lock in a pip or two or three. And it pulled back, and you can see where we locked in, and it just, there were these two kind of tap outs right there. Here's our entry all the way back here, and these two little guys just snuck up there, took us out, and then it ran all the way down exactly to our profit target of 7,400. That's what we call frustrating summer trading, and it was it was the fullest degree of that. Just frustrating, just a good clean setup, but after so much chop and so much uncertainty, you have to kind of at some point say, okay, let's protect profits, let's see how things go, and that's of course when it started to cooperate. So New Zealand yen, frustrating. it's always frustrating to get taken out at a small profit when your bigger profit of, our profit target was 112 pips away. It hit every bit of it, and not by a whole lot. We had some lows here of about 73, 70, 70 or so. So it definitely ran past it plenty to get out at that profit target, but got a little frustrating as we locked in and it kind of pulled back and took us out and then just really ran to our profit target. But I still really like New Zealand yen. I think this one has some great potential to it still. I kind of want to see how it behaves on this larger scale here. Going into next week, you can see that we had this big, almost double topping. We're still in downtrends and so on. And here is the big test of the trend line here, right there. And then we took a nice little dip below, and now we're actually below this trend line, which is kind of fantastic. I'm really curious to see if this is going to continue to drop and take out some more of these pivots. We've seen some New Zealand weakness. I still like the yen rallying. I think there's some good possibilities for that. So going into next week, even though this one was pretty frustrating, going into next week, I think there's kind of an interesting setup here. We'll just get rid of that for a second. Kind of an interesting setup. We've kind of cleared this trend line, and now we're keeping these opens below. And if this kind of continues to run up this trend line, I think we could see this kind of stuff right here. And then if we can get a clean trend line in there and maybe get a big break down towards some of these other pivots, I like that. And I think there's some good possibility there. So it was a frustrating trade this week. It didn't cost us any money. We just didn't make as much on it as we wanted to make. But next week, it looks like there's some pretty good stuff that we could work with on New Zealand yen. So frustrating, but overall, it worked out enough, and it looks like it's putting a better setup and a better kind of trade to work with in the coming week. So a little bit of a pain, but we survived it and we did okay on that one. Here was another trade that I was loving this week, and I actually still am loving. It was the Aussie yen, and we had an Aussie yen trade that we also locked in on. We had some trend line activity here, and we took this, we locked in, taken out at break even, +1, that kind of stuff. And same kind of frustrating stuff, but this one never actually really ended up going much of anywhere. The New Zealand yen made a nice little move, but the Aussie yen just kind of went sideways. But I'm really excited about this Aussie yen going into next week. There's a lot of chop here, but it's a pretty clean head and shoulders. We're staying nicely below that right shoulder. This neckline's looking really good. I sent out an update last night / yesterday on Telegram mentioning that we should be ready for some activity coming up on this one. I drew this trend line in and it kind of broke and kind of just hopped around here. So, obviously we're coming to the end of the week, and we want to be pretty cautious about some of these entries and some of these details. So I'm going to sit this one out until next week, but you can kind of see, there's a little bit of trend line activity to be watching there. We'll see how this thing plays out. We'll see if we can get some consolidation and another break. But our symmetry movement here, this high to that neckline low, and then this level here should at least get us down into that 78.30, if not a little bit lower. And here we are about 79, 25.30 area. So I think this has some really good potential as we come off this double top, a really nice double top, and a short-term head and shoulders pattern to kind of confirm that. We've got some missed pivots down here, and we've got some trend lines and some nice things to look at and look for. And it looks like, this could very likely just come right down and retest that trend line area, of this larger movement up, maybe find support there, maybe whatever. But it's interesting that symmetry is right at that trend line from that 4-hour chart. So I like the New Zealand yen. I think there's good potential. I like Aussie yen. I think there's really good potential, and we're going to keep an eye on those. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. We talked about. I'm just going to spend literally 2 seconds here on euro dollar. We talked about this for a minute, but we still want to get short euro dollar. This thing, if we look at, well, let's even go to the daily chart. If we look at the daily chart, it's outside of this channel. It only makes sense that this is going to, at some point be able to continue lower here. It's just, when is that point going to be, and are we going to have to, sit through a semi-aggressive retest of this channel before it heads, back down? So are we going to see some movement back up to retest that channel, maybe get above this 112 and and retest 113 before starting to make those bigger movements that we're looking for down to 109 and 106.50. So that's kind of the only question. That's really what's keeping me out of this trade. If we had any amount of volume and any amount of solid direction in the market, I think the direction's good. It's just the volume is really really low and really bad, and so it makes just jumping into something like this a little bit tricky. But the setup is really good, and and again, if this needs to run up and retest, so be it. I don't want to sit in this thing and be down 200 or 300 pips while it retests. It's either going to make a little break here and give us there we go. Make a little break and give us some retests of this area and start to run up there, or it's just going to kind of consolidate through everything and start pushing below 110. At which point we'll jump in and just attack this thing and take it down for at least 100 pips, hopefully, and hopefully it'll continue on down through from there as well. But that's really the only thing keeping me out of euro dollar at this point is just is that retest going to happen or not. So I do definitely like euro dollar lower, and I think there's super great opportunity and possibility there. And of course, mentioning dollar stuff, we always have to take a peek at the dollar index and what this is doing, and our bull flag looks good, but this is definitely weighing down dollar pairs just a little bit, and we had some nice breakout here, but again, you can just see the absolute lack of volume. Nothing is moving really. It's just we're getting these little breaks, these little pushes, and then it's just sideways. And so so for basically this entire week, we had some sideways activity. We got a little breakout through in the early part of the week through our resistance, and then just sideways activity. Which of course is affecting euro dollar and pound dollar and dollar Swiss franc and all these pairs. So we do need a little bit of movement on that dollar index. We need a little bit of volume basically across the board, and we'll be on our way. Here is one that Chris is loving pound dollar. I'm loving pound Swiss franc, and I think we can both agree that we love both. So so we're watching both of these setups, and again, just kind of pure lack of volume. We have all this sideways movement with some pretty important news that we had, and we're still just kind of holding sideways. This is a chart that's been posted. We've posted the pound dollar chart for the public to see. We've posted pound Swiss franc for the public, and they're both doing the exact same thing, which is holding the right shoulder pretty well, not confirming above this neckline. But when and if that happens, the profit potential is pretty excellent. This neckline is slowly dipping 130, 130. Price projection is around 135.50, and we've got some nice pivots up here to kind of aim for as well. So great setups, really great setups, like super great setups. Just kind of slow market conditions. That's how I would explain. That's kind of how I feel about things this week, is just kind of slow market conditions. What do you guys think about that? Is that kind of ringing true to everyone? Are you guys seeing these setups? It sounds like on our live sessions every single day, we're talking about short-term setups and long-term setups and so on. And some of them are playing out very nicely, and some are just going so slow. So yeah, Ice Pro. Yeah, the EuroCAD is looking interesting. Very, very interesting. We're excited about that one finally breaking out and exploding. So that's going to be super awesome for sure. And that's going to be, it's going to be um, and right, in the Euro Aussie as well. These are going to be really, really awesome setups. And this is nice, when things kind of do go sideways and they do get kind of slow and they do get kind of choppy, usually there's a pretty big breakout that follows. Yeah, exactly. Of at least 15 or 20 pips, for sure, for sure. Um, yes, Linda, absolutely. I will. And I thought I did have that on the watch list. The current chart. By the way, guys, little update on the watch list. All the links are live now, so that should be good. And there we go. Okay, all right. That was a slightly different watch list there, or chart. So, but it's all the exact same. It's just a little bit of a different drawing. So yeah, we'll get that in there. Okay, very good stuff. Chris, what do you think? What are your thoughts about all this stuff?
Yeah, it's I second the slowness. I mean, I know that you and I talked, pretty much every morning this week of like we have such good setups, such good looking areas, and yet some pairs are there, some pairs aren't there. I mean, we need some confirmation. We need some pairs to kind of run into those trading areas. But I'm looking at since you have the screen, Jared. You want to throw in the member section, go into the active positions, or I'm sorry, the trade alerts. Click on the trade alerts so everybody can see that, and just see the history that we have from this past week. Euro pound, protect. Euro yen closed, protect. Euro pound closed, protects. Everything has been. We got in trades. We had a chance for 15, 20 pips either numerous times or a couple of times, and I mean, not that our plan is to get into these trades and automatically just go to break even, but it just for the last couple weeks, this kind of feels like what the market's been doing. So there's a balance that we need to find as traders. Is if we get in with the expectation of taking trades, going to break even, and taking 20 pips of profit, I mean I've that's fine. But our planning on 1-hour charts and 4-hour charts and nice decent trend lines with clean areas to move. I mean, we shouldn't just be looking at 20 pips of movement. So the frustrating factor comes in when we're pretty accustomed to finding good areas and having a 50 to 100 pip run in a couple of days. Finding good formations and symmetry levels that when we get a push, I mean, my gosh, how long did the dollar Swiss? It's still not at 99.30. It's still not at 1.00. And that's literally a month and a half or so of that trade since Brexit, or a month since Brexit. So give her whenever the heck Brexit was, I don't know, end of June 22nd or something, when all that, I mean, so literally a month, right?
Yeah, it's
So
been pretty much a full month now.
yeah, so I mean, I see, that obviously having a week like this that felt really slow, but we still came out positive, and certainly could have been more positive. I mean, if we would have known starting the week that every trade we take, let's just go after 20 pips, then it would have been pretty easy to pack away 80 to 100 pips of profit this week. But the difference was a +1 or +5. We might be plus 10 or 20 for the week, or break even for the week. So it just that's frustrating. So that's when it's I don't want to say the market's boring, but it's certainly a week that tests your patience and your expectations. And I know that the more that you decide that we need to force trades, the more that we decide that we need to do something, the kind of the worse results you get. So I know Aaron asked me yesterday, hey, did you get into the euro dollar? I talked about shorting that euro dollar at 110. I did. I got into it. I took the trade, just like I said I was going to, but I didn't hold it. I mean, I literally, it was one spike. Will you bring up the euro dollar, Jared? I'll just let you run with the screen. I'll just be commentating.
Sure.
Euro dollar on like a 10-minute chart, and this is the Draghi. Yeah, 5-minute chart's fine. Yep. And Draghi yesterday. So that spike up around that 12, it says 12 o'clock on Jared's computer right there. So can you see you can't see where I'm clicking, right? Okay, that's Draghi, right? So initially it goes up, comes all the way back down. I said, well, if it comes below 110, I'm going to short it. Where did it go? 20 pips lower, popped right back up. So I got in the trade, literally at 109.99, and had 18 pips of profit, put my stop at +1, and wasn't surprised to get a +1. But I've also taken that trade probably thousands of times over the years, and that was actually one of the trades that I, started taking when I first was learning. And again, it's like I had to identify a clean area, but it was like just going after 20 pips, 20 pips, 20 pips, 20 pips, and it worked really well. But I also realize that round numbers can sometimes be terrible things where the market likes to bounce off those levels. So that's what kept me from just always relying on that trade. But after seeing Draghi yesterday, it won 1.1010, essentially at 10.10, it was support. It was support. It was support. It came close to 110 even, didn't break it, and then finally when it broke it, then it wasn't surprised that it ran 20 pips. But what is just frustrating again is why can't it go down to 109.25? If you squeeze that chart, Jared, look left. I mean, where's our low that we really were targeting? 109.20. So why? That was a previous low, and it must have been, is it Brexit low that we're talking about? If you go to the 1 hour chart. Yeah. So I mean, it's bigger time frames. Are we not in a wide open space for that euro dollar? Do we not have a Brexit low that the market could come after? So it's just, I mean, it's not like Draghi wowed us with anything positive. I mean, his tone has been so consistently dovish. And again, we can sit here and talk about it and be so angry, but at the same time, look, we didn't lose any money. We had chances to protect some profits. We found good trades. Again, we're finding good quality trades. It's just the lack of volatility, the lack of pushing, makes it into a week where small profits are good. But I don't want to get in the habit of, we get into trades, we take 15, 20 pips of profit. Because when we do that and our trades run 40, 50, 100 pips to our profit levels, those are the trades that I think you tend to chastise yourself a little bit more when it's a bigger area, and it can push 50 to 100 pips that you're, very likely going to make a lot more money. So there's a balance there, right? I mean, I don't want to get myself in the habit of taking 20 pips out of the market when I'm looking at trades on 1 hour and 4 hour charts. It's just a 1 hour, 4 hour chart. I'm not going after 10 and 20 pips, and that's fine. But again, it was an adjustment type week. It was kind of more of a mental adjustment. So yeah, I mean, just like Jared said, I mean, it's trying, and it's testing our patience and our resiliency, but we'll keep plugging away. Yep. So yeah, and Super Mario unfortunately didn't deliver, but I will. I am looking at this EuroCAD, Euro Aussie, and Jared, I definitely want your thoughts on Euro Aussie and EuroCAD. If you switch over to Euro Aussie, would you classify that as a bull flag? What you're seeing right now?
It definitely does look like one, and it's
Right.
pretty nice. That's been a good little retest there, and if we just kind of put that right along there, I mean
Yeah,
that's textbook. Which
I think so too.
which once again we've seen so much of this just textbook good movement, and then it just kind of slowly chops us out a little bit. But
I know.
this is about as good of a setup as you can see. I mean that's beautiful for sure.
Sure. I mean, and plus, where are we at? We had this big slide downward. We had a falling wedge. We're on the right side of that trend line on a much bigger time frame. We rally up. We go nowhere. We didn't force any trades, but that's setting up a really nice looking, bull flag. And what I love about it is to have a recent recovery from that slide down, to have a monthly pivot sitting up there at 5,100, to have a round number at 5,000. I mean, we definitely have a couple hundred pips to go after. And so, I mean, if we end up getting into a trade with this last or next week, I mean, I see the EMA right there. I'll probably get very protective around that EMA, which might be 100 pips or so of movement. So that's fine, as like, I'd like to at least get priced there and lock in, maybe 20 pips, like lock it in. Hopefully the thing can go through that level. But there's a nice clean run up to that monthly pivot, or at least to 1.50. So I just think that looks really good. And then EuroCAD, you probably see it on the 4 hour chart or the daily chart. That thing came right up to the upper channel today, or that upper wedge, and rejected itself right back down. But I just think either way, we can't not take that trade. If we see a daily candle closing above or below, I'm going to start small. You know, I'm going to start with a dollar, a couple dollars, and just get in, look to buy again the retest of the wedge or sell the retest of the wedge depending on the direction. But I would think breaking to the north, it's got to have the ability to go to 4,800. Breaking to the south, hopefully something like 4,000. So a few hundred pips either direction, and I don't expect that for days and days and days and days of consolidation to just break out and be not worth anything. I would be shocked and really disappointed, but at the same time, I'm not going to go big on any trade. I'm going to start small. I'm going to, you know, kind of, I always say massage, but it's like I want to test that area. I want to make sure that if I'm getting in here, I'm just testing it small, and then let's show that, okay, it broke, it's retesting, now we can buy it again or we can sell it again. And then we get the push in our favor that we can start protecting and locking in for those few hundred pips. So, yeah, Marianne says, I think I need a massage. Yeah, I'd love, I've got a, what is it? Homemedics, the Homemedics Shiatsu massage. I think I'd like to put that on my computer and see if that does anything special to the Forex market. I did. So last weekend, man, I don't know what I did, but we played tennis sometimes on the weekend, and we go to the gym and stuff. And I did something, and I mean, I'm fairly fit in my. I did something in my back last week, and it was a horrible idea to feel like, oh, I'm gonna massage this thing out. So I put that like shiatsu thing on me for like 2 sessions, which is like 30 minutes, and it's just like, you know, having a Japanese guy's fist like right in your back for 30 minutes, and he's just punching away. But I feel better now, so pain and pleasure.
The Japanese fist worked pretty well then, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So and then he went and made me some sushi. So anyway, I just, you know, to second what Jared said, it was a boring week to say the least. But I mean, at the same time, Jared and I talked the last couple weeks of, look, we know that we need to be taking a few more trades. We find good areas, we find good trades. We just got to throw them in there. And because part of me is on the sidelines, like, what am I going to trade? Well, I'm only really going to trade that third consecutive pivot or fourth consecutive pivot. I'm only going to trade 15-minute EMA setups. I'm only going to trade price patterns. You know, that's 3 or 4 things that make all of my money. So if I deviate from that, I just know that I'm like, it's not like my favorite, but at the same time, we also see really clean trend lines that we know the commonalities of a trend line break. We know the price action, we know the price behavior. There's no excuse for us not to be trading those. If it's not our preferred setup, then obviously control the trade size. You know, I like those trades I just mentioned, and those are the trades that I make good money on because I trade a little bit bigger, because I'm a little bit more confident with those. A simple trend line break has just the same type of probability. The difference is I just might start smaller. I might give it my 2 entries. You know, Jared likes the breakout type trade. I like the small breakout trade, and then the equal kind of retest. Maybe I get that, maybe I don't. So again, I mean, we actually had a fairly active week. I mean, I think we had what, five or six trades going this week, and all would have offered, you know, the 15, the 10, 15, 20 pips. The New Zealand yen, obviously, after a couple tap outs, actually did go 100 pips. But other than that, it was, you know, it was a decent week, you know. But man, I just think the market just didn't cooperate. It really didn't cooperate with the pushes at all, and whatever. I mean, we can complain about it, but the reality is, right around the corner is going to be a better week. So if this is as bad as it gets, or, you know, probably since I've been here, the worst feeling we've had is being 600 pips or 700 pips upside down in the pound Aussie. And what happened there? The thing's down 3,000 pips from where we got in that trade. You know, so it's like, our trades have been fine. Our trades are really good, and so I mean, it's weeks like this where it seems boring, but we can't lose sight of the fact that we're going to make good trades. We're going to find good trades in good areas. So
yeah,
rest assured, it's all going to be fine. And I'm already planning ahead for the paydays of some of these patterns. I mean, I want to see the peso. I want to see the Norwegian krone. It's like those bigger time frame price patterns have just an amazing way of working out. And when they do, I think we should make a lot of money on them. You know, and that makes up for the weeks like this where we're trying to, you know, force trades or look at things and like, oh, I'll just go to break even every time. sometimes break even works, and sometimes you get a run of 50 to 100 pips. Sometimes break even is so annoying because you wonder, why don't you just take 10 or 20 pips? And I've been there as a trader, and I'm sure that if you haven't been there, this is what it feels like. Weeks like this, you wonder, man, I could have made 100 pips this week if I just took profit every time. And then weeks like this where you take 100 pips of profit, the thing moves 1,000 pips. So at the end of the day, it's really tough to be satisfied. Maybe that's what I sound like, but I feel like it's very tough to be satisfied with performance when it's discretionary or it's auto trading. But again, expectation wise, if we're finding trades and we're not losing money, if we're finding trades and we're finding good areas, we're going to be fine. And we keep surviving. We're here to trade. We're here to compound our gains, and it's all going to be fine. And nobody's going to double their account overnight. And it's certainly, it works that way. It's good trading is usually not what happens overnight. Good trading is what happens over a span of time. Testing the peaks and valleys, and trying to obviously have more peaks than valleys, and just be really protective.
Yeah, so. for sure. And it was funny this week, Chris. You and I chatted about you called a euro pound trade earlier in the week, and it ran to like 25 or 30 pips in like 5 minutes, and you just said,
yeah,
let's get out, let's take a profit. And as soon as you did that, I thought we were in the New Zealand yen at the same time, and we were up about 25 or 30 pips, and I thought, man, and we even chatted about it. I thought maybe we should just close this sucker out because nothing else is behaving. And and I said, you know what, I'm gonna let this continue on. And what happened? Stopped out +1 New Zealand yen.
Yep.
It just pulled back, and so but I think the moral of the story is protecting our profits right now and making sure to move our stop losses to that break even as quick as possible. In choppy markets is, exactly like you said, it's good and bad. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep taking as many good trades as we can find, and we'll just we'll lock in. Things are a little uncertain right now as far as direction of everything. We've got a little bit of summer doldrums going on, and so direction's not crystal clear, but we have great clean setups. And so if we lock in 10 times and get taken out 9 times at +1, and one time it runs 500 pips or 300 pips or whatever, that's fine. It's kind of a numbers game. It's pretend like we're all actors in Hollywood here, and we got to go to 10 auditions before we get one role, or 100 auditions or whatever. It's kind of a similar thing in trading. Sometimes we just have to keep stabbing at the market until it finally gives us what we're looking for. And when there's more clear direction, and we've taken, you guys have seen us take trades like this. When the direction's a little more clear, we'll let a trade go against us a bit, and we'll scale into it, and we'll add to it in a little bit of drawdown, and those have worked out super well. I think right now, while there's a lot of market chop and lower volume, we're doing that a little bit less. But that's definitely a technique that we love to do, and it works out really good when we have some good, clean, clear direction. And of course, we'll get that back. This is July, and I've bbeen trading for about like 13 whatever years it's been, and probably about 13 times I've told myself, in a major way, it's middle of the summer. And and so this is just kind of that slower time. But on a sad note, summer will be over eventually, and then we're all going to have to go back to cold weather and dark nights. But on a positive note, markets pick up a lot, and we get a lot of that good movement that we love so much.
Yeah, so, if we have to resort to doing daily sessions in August and just playing a movie for everybody like we're substitute teachers, we might do that in August.
and we all know that Chris has got like
work.
You have a movie repertoire that is beyond. It's fantastic. I think you were the only one that got my Waiting for Guffman reference the other day.
Oh yeah, man! Notes. The whole series they've done, Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, Mighty Winds. They've done some For Your Consideration. They've done all sorts of good ones.
That's what I'm saying. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So,
Best in show I can relate to a lot with my love for the canines. That was really
oh,
fun.
the love for the animals. You know,
Yeah.
I was traveling a bit these last couple of weeks and left my dog with my brother. My dog Tank, that everybody knows about Tank. We've all seen Tank. He's been with us for a long time, and I always talk bad about him, like he's the worst dog ever because he just wants to bite everybody and attack everybody constantly, particularly my kids. And I'm always like, he's such a bad dog, but I can't get rid of him. And then I was gone for about 2 weeks without him, and I missed him. And I don't know if it was like the Stockholm syndrome or whatever they call it, where you like get sympathetic to your kidnapper or whatever the thing is. But I was like, "Oh, I kind of missed Hank, like in all of his bad attitude, I missed him. So he's he's still with us. He's still with us. But some there we go. There we go, Craig. Yep, yep. And Damien, yes, we're open to movie votes because I'm telling you, it might be a little more entertaining than watching these markets. But
Yeah, we can have a movie club, and we can come, we can talk some Forex, and then start plotting. Maybe we can all have a Game of Thrones week.
I need to watch it. I need to catch up on it. So I'm good. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But good, Marianne. That'll be great. Miss Marple, huh? Oh man. So, I think the best thing about these slow, kind of boring markets is we have mornings to spend with you guys. We always have, even when trades just don't play out, when they just don't confirm and they don't give us the entry that we talk about over and over and over again. We get to spend some time with you guys. Everybody gets to kind of share their ideas, talk about, the successes they're having, the challenges they're having. And likewise, we get to just review and re-review good setups, and that's so
Mhm.
important. It's you just got to see it over and over again. A good buddy of mine has a friend that said, Jared, I've been following. Actually, it turns out that a good friend of myself and my brother, we've all been friends for like 20 years. His close buddy said, hey, I've been watching this guy on Instagram and YouTube, and he like threw his family in a motorhome and has, been traveling around America and doing crazy stuff. And apparently he trades, and I've been interested in trading. And this friend, of course, said, oh, that's my good friend's brother. And so we ended up meeting up last week, and he said, I love what you're doing. You're traveling around, you're living a free life, and you're trading and doing all this stuff. And I want to learn how to do it. And I was like, let's get you going in the group, man. Let's get you hooked up and started. And and the funny thing to think about in that, every time I think about somebody starting trading, it's always just, in the end, just exactly like Chris said, we look for a couple of setups. We really look for
Mhm.
like three, maybe four different kinds of things every time we take a trade, and that's basically it. But getting to that point of, what are the few things that we want to see to take a trade is so funny. And so, thinking about this friend that is kind of wanting to get started trading, you know, these live sessions that we do every day, just watching, even when the markets aren't moving much, just watching us identify these setups, talk about how we're going to trade them, talk about where a profit target should be, where a stop loss should be, how a scaling in situation should be. Even when the trade doesn't happen, is just useful. It's just repetition to death, which as traders we just got to have. We just got to have that repetition. I still need it. I always say that being in this trade group, even though I kind of host the trade group, I guess Chris and I do, it's been such a learning experience for me for all the years that I've been doing it, and it just keeps me showing you guys what I think I should be looking at in trading. And as I look at that, it reminds me what I should be looking at in trading. So again, guys, just a reminder, even when these, when markets are a little slow and choppy like this, it is absolutely indispensably valuable to attend these sessions every day, because we're practicing our brain to be ready for these setups and these trades when they happen.
Yeah, and that level of maturity, I know that took a lot of time for you and I to. I mean, look, I'm in my 8th year of trading, and this is the year that probably since like last summer is where it really dawned on me of like what trades I was really good at. And so I just started to revolve all of my decisions around those trades, and everything else was just kind of like, it's not really good enough for me. Not good enough for me. But again, you get to the areas where, or those times where those trades, those preferences aren't there, and you're like, well, I've taken this trade before, I could take this trade, and so it goes from, you know, the only trades you want to take to the trades that you know you can take. The big differentiator between those is, again, like I said, is how you treat the trade size. I mean, I know that, you know, Jared, you and I have had a lot of kind of just private moments outside of the group, and it's like, you know, we know that we can make a lot of money on small time frames, but it's got to be a very specific setup. We also know that we can make a lot of money on bigger time frames and patterns, but it's got to be a specific setup. You know, everything there in between is trying not to lose money. And so even if our job in times like this or weeks like this is to prevent people from, you know, damaging their capital and just staying around, you know, staying in this trading long enough to, you know, be with us for the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, that's a much better solution than, you know, your friend that comes in wanting to trade, and his first question is, why didn't you guys take a trade today? You know, what did we do today? We didn't take a trade. Yeah, I know we didn't. Here's why. You know, because this market, especially in Forex, I mean, a 24/7 market can be tough to monitor. A 24/7 market doesn't require that a perfect 3-hour window of volatility is going to produce all the movements that you have. You know, and again, I mean, certain pockets are better than others, but that is one thing I've really, you know, kind of pointed my finger, wagged my finger at for Forex, is like, why are we getting 5 p.m. movements? Why are we getting, you know, midnight 10 p.m. movements, my time, where it's like late Asia session or rollover sessions? It's like the market majority of the time is never moving at that time, and when I don't know. So little things like that I'm observant to, but I'm not angered by it. I'm disappointed, you know, that it's like, what is this game that's going on right now? So, but again, we just stay resilient, you know, we stay the course, and I believe that we'll be totally fine, and our setups will come, our profits will come, and we'll look back on times like this as just, you know, we reflected, but we stayed smart, and we didn't feel like we needed to succumb to forcing trades and making any, you know, irrational decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's just it's always a long game, So we just, you know, keep our eye on the coming setups, and, you know, if one doesn't work out, there's literally an infinite amount of trades coming. And one thing that I've tried to live by as much as possible, and this is where, you know, sometimes we get that divide of do we take a trade or do we just, you know, stay out, and sometimes have a week where we have, you know, 2 or 3 trades only, or 2 or 1 or whatever. And, you know, and I try to stick to the thought of, I'd rather miss a good trade than be stuck in a bad trade. And so, you know, that's where we try to just wait for those best setups. But at the same time, you know, we definitely want you guys to know that we're not, you know, getting slack on the market or anything. We just want to wait for good setups, but we'll take them and we'll keep them coming, and we'll just, you know, aggressively lock in profit on these trades as they move and as we take them. And, you know, as we get a little more trend and direction going, then we'll let these trades run a little bit more and scale in a little bit more, and so on. But for now, we'll just keep going. And I, for one, and I you know, and I know Chris is on board on this. We enjoy these sessions. We enjoy being with you guys. It's always a good time every morning. You know, when I was in the emergency room the other night, 2 nights ago with my wife, and we got back at like 3 o'clock in the morning, we were both just hammered, and you know, and I went to sleep, and I woke up at 4 a.m. like I do pretty much every morning, you know, after 1 hour of sleep, and I thought, I probably should go back to sleep so I don't, you know, die or spontaneously combust or whatever it is. But anyway, it's always good to be here with you guys, and so on. And Frank,
yeah, I mean, Frank, that's a great question. That's kind of what I was addressing. Is like we don't. I mean, every trade we took wasn't an area where it's like, well, let's just go after 20 pips. You know, my euro pound trade was, we had news in the morning, we had a low that was easy to be tested. That's where I decided to take profit early. The euro pound we took yesterday was post news. It looked to retest the low. It failed, and it failed, and it failed, and it failed. And I mean, and we sat on the trade for the entire day. So that's why last night I just said, look, it didn't move at all based on, you know, kind of the follow through to expect from a breakout or a trend line break. And I just, you know, I was upside down. I got in at 22, you know, 83.22. I closed out at 83.30. I took an 8-pip loss on that yesterday or overnight. And I saw that it went down to 8,300. And if anybody stayed in, I know it went down to maybe give us, you know, 5 or 10 pips or maybe that 20-pip mark before it, you know, rallied up to 8,400 today. But all the more reason that I didn't like the cooperation. And so I think in a time like this, Frank, all I can look at is we are pretty easily identifying a lack of volatility, you know, and it's, I don't want us to get in the habit of thinking that the expectation is there's no movement. It just won't move, because as soon as you condition yourself to only take 10 and 20 pips, then you're going to be kicking yourself for the fact that it'll move 50 to 100 pips. So it's just, you know, we are reactionary type creatures, and well, I don't want to say reactionary. That's kind of the wrong tense here, because we don't want to react to the markets, but we want to observe what the market's doing. And then, you know, we are flexible creatures, meaning we have to be the ones that make the adjustment. You know, the market's going to be right. I mean, we know that. So if the market's setting the tone and setting the stage, you know, if it's not moving, then I guess we just need to be flexible with our expectations. But again, be prepared for the bigger pattern. Be prepared for the symmetry levels that we have measured, and look forward to those times. I mean, we know it's very capable of it. I mean, my gosh, a month ago we saw 3, 4, 5, 6,000 pips of movement. Now we're lucky to get 20. You know, so it's like we know what the market's capable of. We also know that we've seen very big extremes in a short amount of time. Huge extreme movements to tiny little very tight movements. And there will be some equilibrium in there that we can trade and we can exploit.
Yep,
how do we gauge the lack of volatility? Well, I mean, here's a good, you want to type this in, since you have the screen, Jared, mataf.net in a new browser. It used to be called forexticket.com. Now they changed it, but mataf.net. I use this for just volatility. So if you go to the Forex column on the left, and then just scroll down a little bit, and you'll see Forex volatility right there under Trading Tools, the gray bar, Forex volatility. So this is your average. So I typically type in a 4-week average, and it gives you the count. I mean, daily times, the 24-hour period, what are the highest volatility times, and it measures all this. And so, you know, again, from all the years that we've been trading, I know on average about what currency pairs should be moving. I mean, when we have a good amount of volatility, we should be able to see, and this might be skewed. Actually, we changed it to a 2-week, because the 4-week might bring in Brexit volatility. So let's put in 2 weeks and see these differences. Okay, so Aussie CAD, for example, that's a pair that, you know, decent volatility should be moving 100 plus pips. Aussie New Zealand's about 100, and that's about right. But we've seen New Zealand dollar volatility recently. Look at the Euro Aussie. If you want good volatility, the Euro Aussie should be in the high 100s. You know, 170 to 200 pips a day. Euro CAD should be 150 to 200 a day. Euro Pound, that's Brexit related. The Euro Krone. Euro Krone should be 1,000 plus pips a day. You know, it's half of that. Euro Dollar is probably 70 to 80 maybe. Yeah, so it should be 100 pips, and we're talking 70. So I mean, that's a gauge. That's a gauge for me, just because I've seen, you know, I've seen numbers before. I mean, Pound New Zealand, that's again probably high volatility with New Zealand crosses. That's a little skewed, but yeah, a lot of those Euro pairs. I mean, the Euro's been super tight, and dollar pairs too, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of dollar wedges and ranges and choppiness, and Euro choppiness, and you know, Pound explosion because of Brexit, and then it tightened up, and you know, we made a few trades, a few pips, but mostly just tried to stay safe. The New Zealand volatility, we anticipated a ton. It was honestly very difficult to just trade it, you know, unless we just had pending orders sitting on trend line breaks. Those initial movements that never gave retests, never gave pullbacks, it was really tough to trade. And again, because we have some discipline, because we have some maturity, we're not just going to jump in and say, okay, let's take the trade. we prefer to get a certain pullback or a certain look to our entries, and it never happens. So, we wait. And so anyways, that help, Frank, as far as a gauge? And Jared, if you have a different answer or a better way, I just thought I could put some numbers to it with something like that. That's a pretty helpful tool.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's totally great. And, and I just kind of do it manually, but this is way more accurate and way easier. So, so it's probably good. But yeah, I mean, I just do the same thing. I just look at charts and I measure movements and look at daily, daily highs and lows. And I mean, that's basically the only way we can judge volatility. And these numbers, these are fantastic. I actually have never been to this website, so this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
kind of the one thing, to point out here, I just brought up this chart, but, when you see, you can just kind of go from currency pair to currency pair and just chart to chart, and you can just, look at how has it been this week? How was it last week? And just when we have this kind of stuff right here, that's the that's the signal that we need to be real careful, real protective, real conservative on on our trades and on our entries, because because things just don't want to break out yet, and that's fine, and we'll wait for them to break out. And oftentimes when we get this kind of chop and this kind of sideways business like we've seen so far, kind of a double confirming breakout can be something to kind of help us get into a better, cleaner trade when volatility is as low as it is. So, things that we've talked about, like a little break and then it retests, and we trade the break of the low of the breakout or the high of the breakout or whatever, on small time frames, to kind of just make sure that we've got an official break, because in low volatility, even something like this could break and run 20 pips, and then it turns and comes back into the channel. And so some double confirmation can help on these kind of slower, less volatility, less volatile times. And we've got a couple of tricks up our sleeves to survive these markets, but a lot of it is just patience, hanging in there, doing what we're supposed to do, sticking to our plan, and just being disciplined. So. Mm-hmm. So I think everyone good with that. I feel like we have, expressed our thoughts and everything here. And Frank, okay, did we answer that for you, Frank? In the chatting, I don't know when that question came through. Oh yeah, so we did. Yep. Okay, good. All right, very good. So good. Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Everyone good on the details there? Everyone good to just kind of make sure you have your calendar out, do some chain trading. Just, our goal is either do nothing or be profitable every day. So that's what we're trying to do. Losing money is, happens, and it's part of trading, but we want to do it as little as possible. And so remember the chain trading. Just, I'm going to post the video in the comments below this video, and I'll also post it in the chat for you guys. Just a reminder of, chain trading, what you can do to kind of keep your brain on the right track for, slow movement and for big movement and for just kind of everything in general. So we'll make sure to stay on that. But yeah, going rogue, that's not an option. It's not an option. So anyway, guys, good stuff.
I think we should post this video. This will be a freebie on demand. We can kind of coin this one like trading Q&A or trading expectations or something. We'll come up with a decent label for it. But I think this is a good lesson. That's kind of what Jared and I talked about early this morning, is just kind of jumping on and just kind of reestablishing the expectations in time like this, where we're still doing the same thing. Our formula, our process is very much the same. But the observation is, okay, I mean, everything was fine, but it required our protection very abruptly. Our 10, 15, 20 pips were really like the best trades we could have really had this week. And that's fine in a week like this. Also that week, because that's not our norm, is being break even, or slightly positive, slightly negative, and just having this week be a survival week. That's fine too. So anyway, but I think this is a good lesson for everybody.
Yeah, agreed.
Sure. Yeah, Frank, that's a good. He says tag it with something reading volatility. Yeah, we'll give that in description, or we'll make it so it's easy to understand what everybody's going to dive into.
Yep, absolutely. So the important thing is, guys, hang in there, be patient. Trades, and you guys are all doing a great job with everything. And the trades will come. We'll just have some of these slow weeks from time to time, and they're not specific to summer only. This kind of stuff can happen throughout the year, so it's always good to make sure that we're prepared to not get stuck in a bunch of chop, and just to kind of be patient, have good setups, keep an eye on volatility, and condition ourselves for whatever the market can throw at us. And I think we're doing a good job in this group doing that. Agreed, Ice Pro. Who's got some big plans for the weekend? I sure the heck don't, for once. So
I've got another family weekend planned. This whole thing moving back to Michigan, who would have thunk that we'd be spending every weekend with family? I guess since we've been away this will be 6 years of marriage, and we've been out of the state and the country for 5 of them.
So everyone's just trying to catch up on you. They're like,
pretty much. It's crazy when we make these plans and people are like, man, we're so happy to have you back in Michigan. And I'm like, man, I didn't realize it's like we call you like quite frequently. We Skype you in Christmas. It's like, so now a lot more time in person. But anyway, I'm meeting my brother and my nephews and stuff. We're gonna meet them in a kind of an equidistant area where we're gonna go check out this air museum and go grab lunch and spend the day with them. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Cool. That sounds fun. That sounds like that'll be a good time. Yeah, it is good catching up with family. Sometimes it gets it gets too long and time flies by too quickly, and we don't get to spend enough time with the loved ones. So it's always good to do that. So yeah, good for you. And looks like Frank's gonna get some yoga on. Frank, I've done yoga. Like, do you do yoga, Chris? I feel like you do yoga.
I've done, yeah. I mean, I do it like post workouts. It's been good for like stretching and just you kind of relax doing it.
Man, yoga. I mean, there's a reason that like Neanderthals did yoga. Like, it's been around for like 100 million years or whatever, and it's so great. And I've done it like 3 times, and it just stresses me out like to death. Like, I'm just stretching everything, and I'm like, oh, and it's supposed to be this whole relaxing process, and it just kicks my butt, man. Every yoga like person I talk to, they're like all in with their Zen, and like, oh, like you get your chi all lined up, and I'm like, the only thing that's getting lined up is like my hamstring for a massage afterwards. Like, it's
yeah. I didn't think my bones could stretch that way.
Yeah, right.
Some of the positions, it's because I would do like post workout yoga or like golf. A lot of times I do golf yoga just because that would be, I know that like professional wise, golf professionals, a lot of those guys are like ridiculously flexible, and you can probably stop the recording at this stage. But no, really, they are like freakishly flexible, and so just looking at some of those workouts and the positions you have to be in and hold and balance for 30 to 45 seconds and breathe the right way, it's like
it's ridiculous.
Actually, it's really difficult to do. So I imagine that if you are at like tip top shape in yoga, that you've got your shit together.
Yeah, it's tough stuff. Yeah, Marianne, I should almost be kicked out of California, because here it's juice bars and yoga and all that stuff, and I'm down with the juice bars, and I love yoga. It's amazing, but it's just, man, it's hard. So anyways, guys, okay, so we will stop the recording now, and kind of bid everybody an amazingly happy weekend and a great Friday, and go do some fun stuff. Thanks again for being with us. Chris, it's always a pleasure being with you, my friend, in the mornings.
Absolutely.
And
I've had enough true crime to last me for a while, so I'm good right now.
Chris and I have been talking about Making a Murder and Jinx and all these crazy shows that are just like consuming the soul. They're amazingly awesome. So have a look at some of those. But thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. Marianne and Frank and Jim and Sim and Damien and Linda, Ron, everybody. Good to see you guys. So great to see everyone. Lilla, always great to see you. And it is good to kind of have these reminders for sure. We need little reminders about trading and life and all this stuff. So we're happy to do it. So thanks, guys. Great to see you all. Have an awesome weekend. Chris, have a great weekend with brother and kids and family, and you guys all have great weekends as well.
Will do. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Take care, guys. We'll see you.